Okay people, today let's take a quick look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Jedi Master Kelnacca from the Acolyte. Hey, I know. All right, I get it. I have said many a time, there's so much Star Wars out there now that you can take what you love, take what you like, leave the rest behind. There's nothing wrong with leaving some rest behind. I've even fast forwarded through parts of the original trilogy to get to the good parts, the parts that I prefer. And that's how it was with the Acolyte, even though there was a lot of parts that I was just kind of like, okay, but I will never pass up a Wookiee, especially of the Jedi Knight variety. And Hasbro, we still need Kamir. We still need the Stranger. Come on. But what I have in front of me is Kelnacca, and looking at the packaging, it's what we're used to with Black Series. At least since they went back to giving us a window. You have the Star Wars Black Series logo up there, you have the name running down the side, you have the color scheme for the Acolyte going across. Warning, choking hazard, small parts. Not judging from the size of that lightsaber, good lord. On the side of the package, the usual artwork we've been seeing forever. On the back, there it is again, even bigger and bolder, and then a brief bio for Kelnacca. On the side, a lot of those same things, just in different order. There's your logo, there's your color scheme, there's some window to let the light in. On the top, absolutely nothing, pitch black like my soul at this point. On the bottom, legalese, symbols, barcode. Let's get this open, see what's going on. Damn, that's heavy. Getting it in hand, it's not as big as I thought it'd be, but it's bigger than I expected. That doesn't make any sense, does it? I guess what I mean is my first impression was they're going to reuse some of these parts for Chewbacca whenever they redo him eventually. So I predicted them to shrink things down, but they didn't shrink them down as far as I predicted. And now getting this in hand, I'm excited about Chewbacca. But don't get me wrong, I'm also excited about Kelnacca because Wookiee Jedi. First, to get it out of the way, literally, since I'm going to go over the soft goods robe and then take it off to see what the actual figure looks like, it's not as bad as I thought it'd be. Yes, it does have a lifelessness to it. It just kind of hangs. There's a flatness. It doesn't bunch up like a real robe in 1/1 scale would, but this is 1/12 scale. This is Hasbro, so it's just kind of there. It's sewn in the right spots. Well, okay, that hood is sewn down, actually. I thought I would pop it up and over and see what that looked like, but nope, unless I cut that. Do I want to cut that? I don't think I do, because I like that it's holding the hood down. I'm almost afraid that if it was loose, it would be popping up, and I hate that more than anything. The sleeves are long enough to hang past his hands, and I don't know, I kind of like that. I can't even remember what it looked like in the show, but this feels very, well, here's my robes. Plus, that's kind of what happens with the robes on the other Jedis from the Acolyte. Well, Jeki's hands are poking out, but still, it has that size too big feel to them. Also, because of the slope of the shoulders, it kind of falls down. You get the robe up. Well, I guess if I did this and put the robe under, can I get the head to hold that on there? I can a little bit, but it's a struggle. I think it's more trouble than it's worth. So not terrible, but also not great. I'm going to go ahead and take that off, which is easy enough. Oh, look at that. Now, the one thing that throws me off is the cone head feel of Kelnacca, but that's exactly what we saw in the show. Kind of a Harry and the Hendersons look. I don't think the blue markings on the head were this distinct. It was more subtle, kind of faded into the shaved head part. And as far as the shaved part goes, it kind of blends in. It's sculpted to look way shorter because the long hair starts about across here and then the ponytail comes up and over, and it's definitely there, but I feel like the color's off. Of course, I feel that way about all the body, the hair there. It's a little dark from what I remember. He's got that look though, those sunken eyes. You can see the teeth inside the mouth. There's the nose with some paint, a nice fade to it to where it's not just a and that's the same for inside the eyes. I feel like those are kind of dotted, but it may be because of how far they are sunk in. There's also a little gray in places, the mustache, the beard up here on top. But like the fur, it should be lighter. It should be a bit more prominent. It should stand out just slightly more. Also getting close, there's some shading to the face, like the photoreel's been used to accentuate the fur or the skull, the facial structure or something. I am happy to see these hair ties painted inside the beard. Those stand out nicely. Well, okay, I say stand out. They do blend in. It's not very obvious that they're there, but they're part of the design. They should be there, and it's done nicely. And look, they're painted on the back too. Then the hair itself fades to a darker brown color at the ends. The arms are that darker color, but fade back into the lighter brown down around the wrists and down on the hands. On the legs, okay, it's dark all the way from the crotch and again down to the ankles. Then for the Jedi robes, it's what we see with a lot of the Acolyte Jedis. There's that mustard color and that light yellow, along with a belt and a gold buckle, some tubes, cylinders, pouch back here happening. Oh, and once again, little buttons, little rivets that are painted. I like that. The belt itself is two-tone. I'm just noticing. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Hello, studs. What's happening? What are y'all doing over here? But the belt is two-tone. It has a lighter brown and then a super dark brown. I say overlay, but you can tell the difference between the leathers. Nice texture to the robes, too. And same for the fur on the body parts. That's very nice. It's a Wookiee. It deserves to have a lot of hair sculpt. A lot of new sculpt. When the leak for this happened and the parts started showing up on the internet, a lot of us thought, well, okay, it's just reused parts from Chrysanthemum from the Book of Boba Fett. But no, this is new sculpt for everything except for the feet. Same toes, same sweeping of the fur on top. It's definitely a different shape to the limbs. Chrysanthemum's legs are slightly thinner and bunch around the ankles. The arms are similar in size, but Chrysanthemum's is a bit rougher on the hang downs. Well, okay, I guess not so much around the wrist, but definitely on the back of the elbow. And then of course they both have grippy hands, but Chrysanthemum has the knuckle dusters. There's a better look at the front of the legs. Kelnaccas are just tree trunks. There's hardly any shape to them, just straight down. Chrysanthemums taper down around the ankle. Engineering wise, the top of the robes is an overlay, and if you look under the arm, you can see some fur sculpt in there. Do I need to get another Kelnacca to cut that off and see what happens? Because you lift up the bottom of the robes and it's full Wookiee. What I'm afraid of is that if you cut this off, it'll be super thin in order to make it fit under here. If they were to reuse this body for Chewbacca, all it would really need is a new torso and a new head, I think. In case you didn't notice, these are super soft to get out of the way. We'll get into that in articulation, along with butterfly joints. So you can get some forward and back, and that's the reason for the rubberiness of the overlay. Get into it just a little bit, because of the flexiness, it gets out of the way. Unfortunately, that much hair hanging down off the face and around the shoulders does get in the way of head articulation. There's just no way around. Well, okay, they did get some, what's going on in there? That is a big old dumbbell joint up top. And once again, there is some Wookiee fur. I do like the head being poppable though. That's nifty. Thank you for that, Hasbro. While we're knee deep in articulation, you just saw the long sticked dumbbell for the neck. If you shift back, you can get a little up and then shift forward, he can look down. Not gonna get a lot of tilt because of that hair hanging down, but you can get a lot of rock, and actually that kind of freaks me out. Imagine a blaster shot. Dodge, dodge. That's also gonna get it in the way of turning, but you can force it to look left and right. Not that that's gonna save him from his fate. Butterfly joint shifts forward, shifts back. Pin coming out to the shoulder rotates up and around, then a hinge goes up to there. Big old cut for the elbow. That should give it, oh man, okay, past 90, and then there is rotation. Swivel at the wrist with a hinge. Wait a second, no, that is a ball joint. So shift up and down, shift in and out. Okay, I like that. More of those. Is there a dumbbell at the waist, or is it just a rod with a ball on top? Either way, it crunches to about right there. Arc back, tilt, tilt, rotation. Soft and pliable at the robes allow the ball joint coming out to the hip to kick up to here, and then back quite a ways, and then out. Slight swivel on that hip ball, but man, the robes are covering. Why not put a cut right there? Big old knee joint allows the hinge and swivel to kick up, past 90 and then in and out. But then the hair hangs down around the ankle. The hinge there goes back, it goes forward, and front facing pin for rocker. Then there is the lightsaber, and first I'm gonna say, it looks just like Kelnacca's lightsaber. It has that natural color and feel, that copperish, earthy tone, along with the brownish, leathery look here around the bottom. And then the blade itself is green. Does it? Yes, it does. Okay, that's a solid snap. Oh, and it even has that band look to the emitter, where when you put the blade back in, you can see the green through that slot. The problem is the size. This is Jeki's lightsaber, which is the same size as Sol's. And then yours is slightly larger for whatever reason. Dang. Now I get it. A Wookiee Jedi would have a slightly larger hilt and blade. Or at least that's the way I think of it. Going back to reference pictures of Jeki holding Kelnacca's hilt, yes, it looks huge, but her own hilt seems kind of big in her hands. So I don't think this is totally correct. Putting Jeki's lightsaber in Kelnacca's hands, oh, well, okay. I was going to say, that looks tiny, that looks small, but that doesn't look too off, does it? Okay. That does look huge, doesn't it? Good grief, look at it in Jeki's hands. That is just crazy big. With the ball-jointed wrists and the butterfly shoulders, it's pretty dang easy to get into a two-handed pose. I mean, it took that long. I messed with it for 15 seconds. Put a little more time into it, and you have one badass Wookiee wielding a lightsaber. But you can also remove the blade and store the hilt on the belt. There's that peg on the side. There's a peg hole hanging down off the belt. He's also got a fantastic neutral stance. The arms hang natural. The legs standing, the head. Oh yeah, that looks great. Size-wise, Kelnacca stands at about 7 1/4, just slightly short of his listed 7'6", which is also Chewbacca's listed height, and that figure stands at about 7.5 inches tall. For some reason, this figure seems so large next to other Star Wars Black Series figures. I still believe that the SH Figure Arts is too short and too thin. But Kelnacca is appropriately taller than the Book of Boba Fett Black Chrysanthemum, who is shorter than both Kelnacca and Chewbacca. Unless we're talking about the comic book Black Chrysanthemum, where he should be Chewbacca-sized in some appearances, some issues, some artists. Sometimes he looked like this, sometimes he looked like this in the comics, but that's a debate for a different video. What matters most is that he fits in with other Acolyte figures, and he does exactly that. Okay, I could not help myself. All I did was boil some water, pop the arms out at the butterfly joints, which is easy because those are a softer plastic. Then I popped it off at the waist where the lower robes just came right off. They are pegged in. You can see the peg hole there and there, but they're not glued. The upper robes were still super tight around the torso, so I just pulled this apart. I can glue it back together, not a problem, and go right back on. So if this is going to be used for another Wookiee, it's going to need a new torso piece for sure, to hide some of the joints and bring it all the way down, and then a new crotch piece, maybe. Well, actually, that's a cover, so maybe just a new rubber piece. Or hey, it may be a dumb idea, but add another overlay, a thinner fur sculpt, in order to maintain the butterfly joint range. Maybe a top piece that overhangs the waist to keep this intact, and then another piece that plugs into here to give it a bit more fur cover for the hips. Oh, and maybe that's why they didn't put a cut for the thigh, because it's going to be exposed if these legs are reused for other Wookiees. Maybe? I don't know. It's interesting to see it all apart. If you wanted to increase Kelnacca's range of movement, you could probably get in here and Dremel some of this out to allow more movement, because that is just a rod with a ball on top. In fact, that's hollow behind there. Just shave out that lower ring, just like that, on the inside, but it's not visible from the front. Pop the head back on, and oh yeah, it does help crunch a bit. I guess the same could be done with the head, because right there, it is a ball at the bottom. All right, I went out and cut some on the front and back. It's essentially just the overlay coming up and blocking some of the movement. The head does dip down and looks up more. Okay. Not bad, not bad. So at the end of the day, oh, such a dynamic Wookiee. Before I even get into the shots, look at this. He's leaning forward, then leaning back, and then leaning back forward, holding the lightsaber with both hands. That's something I never thought I'd see with a Wookiee Jedi. Just, oh man, it looks so good. In fact, most of the poses you're about to see is two-handed saber-wielding pose in some kind of running or defense or I don't know. I just had some fun. It just falls into poses. It falls into stances. It has balance enough to get up on one foot and do some running, or just standing there looking like a badass, as it should. The exact picture that you get in your head whenever somebody tells you, hey, did you see that Wookiee Jedi? Oh, that? Yep, that's what I thought. And even though it's slightly shorter, I am not going to mind at all if they do reuse some of these parts for Chewbacca. I don't know if that's already been established, said. I can't even keep track these days. All I know is that I've played with this, and now I want more. So yeah, I'm super interested in seeing Chewbacca come back around and Han Solo, the main cast, because I enjoyed the hell out of the Luke and Leia that I already got. But again, I still want new characters. I want new figures for the shelf, especially the Stranger from Acolyte. Like I always say, take what you like, leave the rest. And I really liked the Stranger. I love that lightsaber fight. I love the helmet, the robes, the chase through the woods. I also like random Jedi and Wookiees. So I bought what I liked, and I'll go from there. That's all you can do. I'm having fun. You can too. Did I rhyme that? Either way. Bye.